Hi guys, good to see you all here. Thank you for being here as always. Tuesday nights. Happy Tuesday, happy meditation day. Hey guys in the comments already, good to see you here. Kevin, Robert, thanks for being here. So yesterday was the solar eclipse. I just got back a few hours ago myself. Mentioned last week that we were traveling to go see it. Really only had to go about like 3.5 hours south of where we are in Michigan, down to Ohio. Findlay, Ohio is where my husband and I ended up. We spent the whole weekend there. Everybody around town was saying that there was more people in town than normal, but I didn't think it wasn't like crowded or anything where we were all weekend. It's a nice little town, but it's not. I don't know, I guess there's bigger areas we could have been in. So we spent the whole weekend there. Yesterday for the eclipse, we found a state park that was nearby, not a real big state park, so Van Buren Lake State Park in Ohio. They have a few parking lots, and we chose one of the smaller parking lots kind of on the other side of the park, like away from the campground and the main areas. And we camped out there all day to get a parking spot in the small little parking lot. They wouldn't let any more cars in once the parking lot was full, so I felt like it kind of capped the amount of people that could be like in the grass green space area there by us. And there was a couple trails, so there was a wooded area nearby with a couple trails, a little waterway that was going through there, so there was trees and rivers, and there was watched a bunch of frogs jumping around by the edges of the water all day. It was just really, really neat. And then the eclipse, oh my gosh. Watched the whole thing from beginning to end, and it was by far like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Short of my children being born, because that is the most beautiful moment I can picture. Yeah, it was just absolutely breathtaking, and it was emotional. I shed a couple tears, I'm sure. It was, I don't know, it was just absolutely beautiful to see the totality of the eclipse. It was very neat to see and to feel and to witness what happens around you. So energetically, as things start to change, as you can feel the energies coming through of the eclipse, physically within nature and like with the light around you, I never realized how quickly the light changes, how quickly you watch it fade from being the middle of the afternoon. It was about 3 in the afternoon. How quickly it changed from light to dark, and then same thing. It's like there's a curtain being lifted and a curtain being put down. The way nature responded, like I said, we were in a green space with some trees and trails in a wooded area nearby us. So the birds and the trees, you could hear them very confused by what was going on. So the birds are squawking and singing, and then there was a moment of silence before they started singing again and started talking again. There were a few people around us that had dogs, had their pets, and you could tell the closer we got to the eclipse, the dogs were feeling something, and then in the middle of the totality of the eclipse, you could definitely tell that the dogs were feeling something all together in unison. So it was absolutely beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. That's about all I can keep saying, is that it's just absolutely beautiful. My husband and I just keep saying that that was just the most beautiful thing that we've ever seen. The ring around, so in the totality, when you can see the ring of the sun around the moon, it's a white light, and that's what I saw for a majority of the time. But I swear that I asked my husband if he saw it, he said no, but there was a rainbow light that I saw, like kind of over top, like a halo over top of the sun and the moon around that white ring that goes around. It was just absolutely beautiful. and to feel the energy that changed within that, and to be within a beautiful meditative space, a magical space at that time, was just absolutely wonderful. So I feel very lucky that I was able to travel to that, to not only be a part of my experiencing like the energy of the eclipse and trying to experience where that is within my own life and really just feel into that energy, but be able to physically travel to see that, and just participate in that event. I feel very, very fortunate to be able to do so. The whole process too of like going to the eclipse and like the process of traveling to that, even though there was a bit of a getaway that was kind of planned around it, the whole thing felt like a journey to that moment, because like the whole weekend was leading up to the eclipse, and then after that we spent the rest of the afternoon outside until we came home today. So it just felt like everything was leading up to that moment, and just like, I don't know, just a very like poetic journey situation. So it was very, very beautiful. Kevin could see it from his house, could see it from his backyard. I think that's wonderful and lovely, because you can see it from your own energy, your own space, and your own property, and be fully within your own, whatever that means. So that was the eclipse. It was absolutely gorgeous. I did post a picture on the social media, so I should have put it on here to show you all tonight, but I have a picture of a totality picture on the Facebook page and the Instagram page, so you can check those out. There's a plethora of pictures out there, some very, very stunning pictures. I have to say that even the most beautiful pictures just don't do justice for what actually happens within the eclipse, and how beautiful it is, and how mesmerizing it is, and yeah, just absolutely how beautiful it is. And unless you get to see it in person, it's just absolutely amazing. So moving on a little bit, kind of, not really, because the eclipse is a big part of this week. So our intention, we'll pull that up first. That which falls away clears space for new energy. That which falls away clears space for new energy. So I don't want you to be scared, or maybe scared is not the right word, but with this intention, I didn't want to invoke any sort of like fear or anxiety of like, oh, what is falling away? What is going to leave? Because the only things that are going to fall away are the things that are necessary to fall away on your path here, right? So really, within the energy of an eclipse, a solar eclipse, which is a new moon, we've talked extensively about that recently, about the difference between lunar and solar eclipses. Since it's a new moon, and since it's in Aries, excuse me, space for new energy, clear space for new energy. Both a new moon and Aries are both very much initiating, right? So just the very end, the second part of our intention, clear space for new energy, or even just new energy, or space for new energy. Remember, I told you you can edit this if you have to. Just the fact that we have a solar eclipse, a new moon in the sign of Aries, the solar eclipse, amping up that new moon energy. You know, a solar eclipse amps up the energy of the new moon, not necessarily like always in like the manifesting power that new moons have, and like the ability to set like intentions. There definitely is that within it. I don't know that it's like higher, like a higher ability to do that, or like a higher potency of like the manifesting, but how I feel like it does amp up the new moon is the fact that eclipses happen over cycles. So eclipses, we've talked about those cycles a lot recently too, so I'm not going to go too deep into that since I've already spent some time talking about my experience with the eclipse. But they come within cycles, they come within pairs, they come within 18-month cycles, they come within 9-year cycles, 18-year cycles, and beyond. They come within 6-month cycles. So there's lots of different cycles, and there's lots of different history. There's lots of like past, present, and future within eclipses. So that is where I see the eclipses being like like a supercharged new moon, where like the lunar eclipses are like a supercharged or super amped up full moon. I see it in the fact of like everything that it contains and everything. There's like a lot more layers to it. There's a lot more to the onion rather than like the new moon that we look at for a 30-day, or sorry, like a 28-day period for a 1-month cycle. So they're new moons in the sign of Aries, space for new energy. Both are very much initiating, new moons on their own and the solar eclipses on their own. Put the two together and you have this clearing space for new energy, going in some new direction, some sort of initiating, some sort of starting, kick-starting something into gear, motivation, bravery, something being skillful. So you have this brand new energy coming in that has some history, that has some future to it, right? So you have this new moon, this new beginning that is a seeding point of something that has already been within the works, or something that has already had some sort of play within your life, but then there's a new level of it coming through somehow. And that is going to play out into the future and have months, years, depending on which way we're looking at it, of history and like energy that is like yet to come. So there's the history and then there's the future that is still all connected to the eclipse that we have this week. It's a lot harder to fully encompass all of the energy of an eclipse, in my opinion, as far as a new or full moon, than just the lunar cycle itself. So that's where it's amped up. So we have all of this space for this new energy clearing the way. Then the first part of the intention, that which falls away, clears space for new energy. So last week we talked about the fact that the solar eclipse, the new moon in the sign of Aries, was ruled by Mars, because Aries is ruled by Mars. Excuse me. So we talked about the Saturn-Mars conjunction that goes exact tomorrow, so Wednesday, April 10th. Mars conjoining Saturn. We talked about it a little bit last week because it was starting to come into play, and really these two planets are going to be within 3 degrees of each other through the rest of the week and through the weekend. So this is in play for a good week or so, maybe even a little bit more than that. But clearing space that is necessary. Clearing necessary space. When you have Mars and Saturn get together, there can be a heaviness. There can be a willingness to say no. Saturn is a planet that says no and stops us. Mars is a planet that can say yes or no, depending on the situation, because Mars is very, very independent. So if it's something that Mars wants to do, then Mars is going to say yes. But Mars can also be abrasive if it feels confined or pushed into something, or I feel like the pushed into something kind of comes into the confinedness. But if Mars feels like it's not able to exert itself and not able to fully be within its own individuality, then Mars will say no. And when Mars is saying no, it's saying no in order to say yes to something else. And that is key with our intention today. So that which falls away clears space for new energy. If Mars is saying no to one thing, and that is falling away, whatever Mars is saying no to, whatever Mars is saying no to in order to say yes to something, that is the new space and the new energy that has been cleared out, right? So you have the new moon, Aries eclipse, which has a amped up energy in the fact that it is broad time frame encompassing, so there is that past, present, and future aspect to it. Now we have Saturn and Mars coming together. Two planets that are, when they come together, we talked about last week about them being a determined, very focused, can be a little bit rigid, very much like calculated movements, and two planets that are very, very determined and very focused in the fact that they will do whatever that has to be done in order to get to the goal. Saturn is the planet of framework, the planet of boundaries and systems that work within us. I like framework better because it feels more structural than boundaries feels much more limiting. Mars is the planet of movement and aggression, the planet of individualization. So behind that aggression is a very passionate energy behind it. It's holding on to something very, very passionately. So when you have that passionate energy that comes into conjunction with Saturn, that planet of frameworks, of boundaries, of that structural framework, that structural foundation, you have the potential to make things very, very sturdy and very, very stable and very, very workable, and things that could potentially last for a long time. That's a Saturn type thing. So you have these structures that could come up kind of quickly through a Mars type way, or through a very passionate type, energetic type way. And when you have that type of passion, you have that type of like fixation or determination, to like move into this new space of whatever is being created, this new energy, then the other things that start to just kind of fall away, sometimes you don't even realize they fall away until after they fall away. Now remember, this is not connotating like positive or negative, because it can play out both ways. But Mars and Saturn together can be a bit serious, rigid, and a bit power asserting. So it could be the type of thing where like things that fall away, if we're not mindful, might be like cutting off things that we will need in the future, maybe not thinking things through completely. But on the positive side, with a new moon in the sign of Aries, where we have all of this initiation within an eclipse, and then having Mars and Saturn together kind of ruling that eclipse through Mars's rulership of Aries, you have this like forward burst into new energy through the new moon, through the eclipse, through Aries, right? But then you have this like seriousness, and you have this structural foundation, this almost like, I keep thinking of like this like rumbling thunder that's behind it, and I don't know exactly why or where I'm going with that, other than the fact that when thunder strikes and you feel that like within the ground and it like rumbles, it's like shaking the foundation. So it's like, yeah, it's like there's this foundation that's very, very sturdy and very, very strong, but there's like this intense force on it somehow. Yeah, that's just kind of coming into my head here as I'm going along with that. So I don't know where exactly I'm going along with that part there. But you can see our intention here just between these two aspects that we have. That which falls away clears space for new energy. The solar eclipse is also conjunct the asteroid Chiron. So don't talk about Chiron a whole lot here, but we do sometimes. Chiron is best described as the wounded healer. So it's those wounds that we have that never heal. It's the ball and chain that we try hard to deal with, learn to live with, or hide, or whatever it is that we do with it. But we all have those deep wounds that are like just, they feel like they're a part of us, right? They feel like they're a core part of us. Sometimes it makes it hard to let go of those things. But with Chiron being conjunct this new moon and this like super amped up, like going your own way type of thing, and like initiating something else, there is this huge healing potential and huge healing factor possibility that again spans over like past, present, and future, through Chiron with the eclipse here. So that which falls away, the healing of Chiron, the healing of the wounds, the healing of letting things go, it clears space for new energy. It clears space for something new wherever Aries is within your chart. So I would encourage you to look at specifically where Aries is, look at the house topics of that, and consider what what weights are around there, what Chiron type situations that can be difficult that you've maybe learned some sort of lessons through, or that you've learned something about life, some way that you could maybe help others, or just be aware of something so that way you don't inhibit or you don't like force something else on that thing on somebody else that like has that you have felt. You don't like try to not make somebody else feel that way. Look in the Aries part of your chart and see where maybe there's some healing within that area of your life that you could potentially find. And then look where Chiron is in your own birth chart, because of course that is correlating to your lifelong situation that you have going on here. The other thing that we have this week is Mercury Cazimis on Thursday. So Mercury is going to make a conjunction with the Sun, retrograde conjunction. So Mercury is moving back through the sign of Aries, back towards the Sun on Thursday. The two will meet, and Mercury will move from the evening star phase into a conjunction with the Sun, where it will start not only a new phase, but also a new cycle. Excuse me. And it will move into the morning star phase. That morning star phase is a youthful Mercury. It's an initiating Mercury. It's a new birthed Mercury that is coming across the Sun. So when any planet goes through a Cazimi point and it moves across the Sun, it's a cycle reset, but it also goes through this death and rebirth process. It goes through this like fully empowerment and burning up and then empowerment of the Sun, and then like this rebirth. Whenever I think of Cazimi, if any of you are Doctor Who people or Doctor Who fans, I always think of the moment, like all of the moments where the Doctor regenerates and you see that big light coming out, and he turns, like he goes through this like process often of like not wanting to go and not wanting to leave, and then all of a sudden he's turned into somebody like looks totally different, but he's like the same person. So I always think of, that's my reference when I think of Cazimi in my own head. But there's this death and rebirth process that planets go through. So that which falls away clears space for new energy. There's yet another transit that can describe our entire intention that we have for this week. So Mercury is going through this death and rebirth process this week through retrograde. So it's already revisiting things. It's already starting to change things. That's part of the process of the evening star phase too. So Mercury has just recently went through its like the last part of its cycle. So like its elderly phase of the cycle. So think about like towards the end of life, like reviewing things and looking at like weighing like I don't know, the accomplishments and the things that we did and didn't do and like that type of thing, but like that review process and like reevaluating things. That's what Mercury is going through. Like right now, if you're here live with us on Tuesday night on April 9th, 2024, getting ready to go through this death and rebirth process. So that old cycle that is falling away from Mercury, our mind, our thoughts, our communication, our perception, all of those mercurial things up here with our brain, remember our minds. That's all going through a change here, and it's going through a death and a rebirth here. So there's something that is falling away that is making space for new energy within our mind. There is something within the Sun, within the new moon, that is having things fall away and clearing space for new energy. Remember that as we come into the new moon, we come off of a dark moon. So remember that the moon has just went through this process of shedding and letting go, where it instantly turns for a new rebirth, and then it starts that process all over again. So there's something that falls away in order for us to get to that that new moon, which is the end of the previous lunar cycle. We have Mars conjoining Saturn. Saturn being the structures and the space, and Mars clearing that energy out for us with the two together, being okay, saying yes or no depending on what needs to be said and what needs to be done, that tunnel vision and focus that could potentially have things just kind of fall away without us realizing. But the Chiron part of us that could be falling away too, right? So those wounds could be big emotions. Those could be like really, really deep things coming forward. And, you know, this all doesn't have to be that big, that huge, and that deep, because not everything is for everybody, and not, like I mentioned, I've said this before too, but like I mentioned about how the eclipses happen in different spans of cycles, there is so much to the eclipse. There is everything that has already happened, there's what's happening now, there's what's going to happen in the future. So your big event, depending on your own life, your own path, depending on your own chart, might not be right in this cluster of time, like surrounding the eclipses. So lots of people talk about like the energy being heightened between the two eclipses, so like between the lunar eclipse that we had and the solar eclipse. That's true, there is lots of energy around, but that doesn't necessarily mean that like you're going to have a big, huge event, and if you don't, then the eclipse energy does not happen for you, work for you. It can be a little bit more mysterious in having the fact that it happens in these wide time frame cycles where there's just a lot more factors in play there. So hopefully that makes sense. The card for today, guys, you ready to see what we drew for today? Told my husband, I said, you just can't make this up. We are talking about the solar eclipse. What comes up? The sun. I said it to my husband, even though he already knows. I said, I promise, like, this just happens. I'm shuffling the cards, you know, the same way that I always do. And for me, the shuffling is this direction. It's mostly this. I've never been a fancy card shuffler ever. I can't do the fancy bridges and things like that. So I just shuffle them like this, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, and they flip over or they flip out. This one flipped right over into my hand. So we have the sun card coming up here. We have the card of vitality, of increase, of individuation. Think of the sun representing the soul, where like the sun is more, think of like the sun versus the moon. So the sun is much more individual, much more personal, much more like soul level, where the moon is much more feeling, much more community oriented. So I feel like for a solar eclipse new moon in Aries, this tracks. This is spot on. There's enthusiasm, there's power, there's radiance, there's success, there is positivity, there is optimism. And this card tells me that there is lots of energy of feelings of moving forward, lots of energies of feeling warmth and feeling powerful. And that tracks with the Aries energy. With a little bit heavier energy, especially, you know, like with the first part of this intention, that which falls away, the sun card tells me that there is a higher power and there is a higher plan, because that is what the sun represents. It represents the all-knowing power. It represents the absolute. It represents the divine intelligence portion of the Godhead, of Source, of Creator, whatever term you use. So it's all part of the divine soul plan. That's what this card is telling me. And you know, lots of moving forward energy. And with that, I think just comes lots of releasing energy. And it can be something, it can be a small but big, because we know our breath is really, really, really powerful. But it can be something as small as when you do your breath work, or you take your next breath in during your meditation, or even just during the day. So that which falls away clears space for new energy. So like as you exhale, after you breathe in, and as you exhale, that air is falling away from you, and it's making space for new air, for new energy. So it can be something as little as that. It can be, you know, like somebody who is deciding they're going to start drinking more water, so that which falls away is either dehydration or whatever liquid you were drinking before that you've replaced the water with. It can be something big and life-changing. Different for everybody. That's why I bring up the perspective thing. So that's the astrology behind this week. lots of energy, lots of different energies. So the forward moving energy plus the like reviewing energy. Last week we talked about Mars and Saturn possibly possibly being that like type energy, like you want to go but it stops you, like you want to go but you want to stop at the same time, like you want to go forward and you want to move. So it can be kind of like spinning your wheels a little bit. It could be like being on the ready and being ready to pounce, having like lots of pent up and built up energy. But as for being mindful, as always, because we always should be mindful, right? Lots of good stuff. So yeah, our meditation tonight, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk through an eclipse meditation, okay? It's gonna be a little bit of a walk through what I experienced over the weekend, but I think it's gonna be really, really good. So I hope you really, really enjoy it. Also gonna apologize if I seem a little scattered at all, just because I've been traveling and just got back a little while ago, but I'll pulled it all together. Everything's good. Crystals, not a whole lot on the table here today. We got a few, so I still got my big kyanite pieces here. I told you guys before, that's my favorite. I have a pretty big square of green calcite up here. The square shape is something that came through with me to me during the eclipse that I'm kind of working with, and then so I have that up here for the shape for the square, yeah, so I'm still kind of working with that myself. And then other than that, I just have a plethora of crystals here that I had with me during the eclipse trip. So there's just a variety, and these are just what I've been working really closely with, and they were along with me at the eclipse, so they're holding that energy as well. So there's just some clear quartz, there's tiger's eyes, some more kyanite, smoky quartz, fluorite, fire agate for Aries. We have some other fluorite pieces, and then something new that I got, indigo gabbro. I'm still working with this, but when I picked it up, it felt like an energy clearing, but like a body scan energy clearing. So like what I keep envisioning is like when I hold it in my hands, I hold the crystals in my hands, and it feels like there's like a laser kind of scanning over the top of my body, and as it does, it feels like it's drawing out some sort of energy through my through my grounding, through my feet, and like into the ground. So it's super cool, something new that I'm working with that I never have before. So that's what I have here in front of me. Yeah, the Sun card. I think that's just absolutely wonderful and absolutely awesome. So our intention once more: that which falls away clears space for new energy. That which falls away clears space for new energy. There are signs of this all over the astrology. We just walked through all the transits this week and how each one of them can pretty much fully describe our intention. The tunnel vision that you get from Aries, and the focus that you get from Mars and Saturn can let things fall away quickly and easily. So some things are just going to melt away. Chiron might take a little bit more work, but there are beautiful new beginnings and new energies that are there for us to explore. But anytime we need to make room for new energies, there is something that needs to move away. So that's what we're going to explore this week. Take one last look at that intention if you'd like. Hey Nikita, I didn't say hi to you. Hey Tom, thank you for being here. All right, we're going to move the card here for a moment. We pulled the Sun card tonight when we're talking about the solar eclipse, so I think that's absolutely perfect. We're going to get ready to light our intentional candle, white as always. Found some really, really cool shops in my travels. Had a pretty cool reading. Went to my first out-of-town yoga class. So I've never been on vacation somewhere. I always have my mat with me, so I always have some sort of practice. But I've never like went to a yoga studio or like saw out a yoga class someplace else that I was and like experienced that energy of like that population within that town. So that was really, really cool. That was a really cool new beginning. Just really, really cool energy. So anyways, a couple cool shops that I found. And so this, and I bought some candles from one of the shops that I went to. This candle here is not one of the regular white sage candles that I use from the Stone Sanctuary Etsy shop. This is one from one of the shops that I went to over the weekend, and I thought using one of the candles that I picked up on the eclipse trip for our eclipse meditation felt like a good idea. So, disclaimer, it's just a regular white candle, not a white sage candle, if it makes a difference. So, we'll get ready to light our intentional candle as we keep our intention in mind. That which falls away clears space for new energy. That which falls away clears space for new energy. So, bringing the flame to the candle, lighting the wick of our white intentional candle, and we see that flame ignite and instantly start to grow. As the flame of the candle grows, so does our intention. That which falls away clears space for new energy. That which falls away clears space for new energy. Let's all start by taking in a nice deep breath and exhaling that breath. Nice deep breath in and exhaling that breath. Just a couple centering breaths. If you haven't already, find a nice comfortable position. Get out any last little minute fidgets that you may have. It doesn't feel as big of a deal this week. And if you're ready, go ahead and close your eyes. If you're not quite ready to do so yet, just soften your gaze and relax your focus. As you relax your focus, you relax your busy mind, and you start to come into a place of awareness. As always, we start by checking in with our breath. Noticing the quality of our breath. Notice the efficiency of your breath. Notice the connection you do or don't have with your breath. Here, there is no right answers and no wrong answers. There is only honest and unhonest answers. Do you feel energized? Do you feel tired? Does your breath feel efficient? Or does it feel like it's lacking? Just taking a moment to see what your body reflects back to you as you observe your breath. Maybe that awareness and that observation extends slightly beyond your breath into the rest of your body. Perhaps you notice some sort of tension, stress, or stiffness in one portion or another of your body. And then ever so slowly you begin to make adjustments to your breath. Slowly you start to extend the inhale, allowing it to seep in slowly yet fluidly. Air slowly seeps into your lungs, ever so gently expanding both the left and the right side. As your lungs fill with air ever so slowly, the expansion with your abdomen provides a soft little hug from your lungs, holding this beautiful breath. Embracing, hugging, and loving on your internal organs. Gently caressing your diaphragm as it slowly moves downward, allowing more space for this beautiful, loving air to enter your lungs. Once you've taken in a full, refreshing breath, just as seamlessly and fluidly as that air entered your lungs, the process turns, and ever so gently, air moves from the inside of your lungs, from inside of your body, up and out your throat, escaping through either your nose or your mouth, ever so slowly and ever so gently. Your own space and your own time, you take another nice, slow, deep breath in. Perhaps the slowest and most calculated breath you've taken in all day. Slowly recognizing the changes within your physical, mental, emotional, perhaps even spiritual body as you breathe in slowly. Once you get to the top of the inhale, you don't even have to think of the process anymore. Your body automatically turns the corner of the cycle of breathing in and breathing out. As you dive down the exhale, slowly releasing that which falls away from your physical body, that air, that breath, that releasing energy. We meet together at the bottom of the exhale, a space where we are ready for a new energy and a new breath. Initiating a new cycle of breathing in and breathing out. Once more on your own time. Now, invite you to meet me at the bottom of your next exhale. Whether you got through one round of breaths or 3 or 4 rounds of breaths. That does not matter. We all meet together at the bottom of the exhale. together as we meet at the end of one cycle and at the beginning of another. Continue your nice, slow, deep breaths in and out. While doing so, I now would like you to picture yourself somewhere outside, somewhere beautiful, peaceful, somewhere you feel content. Whether that's on the sidewalk next to the safety of your own vehicle, or in the middle of a large grassy field, or on the top of a mountaintop. Think of some place, perhaps the first place that comes to your mind, perhaps someplace practical, and that you know truly within your life you would find comfort in this space. Here, outside, we bask in the sun that is overhead, shining its rays down brightly and strongly, as it does at the height of the day. You take in the details of the surrounding area around you, seeing, noticing, and acknowledging how the sun's light hits all of that which is around you. How it warms surfaces and objects, perhaps how the sun warms your skin. You feel a slight breeze that tempers the warmth of the sun, allowing you to relax and feel a balance of warmth from above and a cool breeze from across. Acknowledging the space that you are in, both physically and mentally. You feel that sun beating down on you, warming you just enough to be comfortable. That breeze helps you from getting too warm within the sun. And as you are looking around, taking in everything around you, you start to notice that it seems slightly darker around you. You look up at the sun and you notice that there are no clouds overhead. So you continue on your way, your day of enjoying and acknowledging, perhaps finding some space of gratitude for the beauty that is around you. And you notice once again the quality of light is a few shades darker, a little less vibrance to that which is around you. Slowly, slowly, the light falls away as the moon moves between the sun and the earth. As the moon slowly moves over the sun, it isn't until the moon is blocking out about half of the sun that you can even notice that the sun's bright rays are tempered. Then ever so slowly, the light fades away from the area you are in. Silence falls around you. And as you look up towards the sun that you can now fully look at, what you see is the darkest circle, the darkest moon, with a sliver of beautiful, radiant, white light shining behind it. The light within your environment has moved away, but we know that momentarily new energy will come. So we stay in this place of darkness with the light just behind it. Focus on that brilliant, divine white light that is surrounding the darkness of the moon. Notice how it sparkles, notice how it shines, notice how you can feel it warming your soul, even though the temperature has dropped in the physical area around you. And now I want you to picture that you are that circular dark moon that you see up in the sky, coming into contact with the sun, ready to start a new cycle, a new loop around the zodiac, starting from Aries, the first initiating sign of the zodiac. And as you picture yourself as that dark moon ready to be born again, you feel that sun behind you. Symbolically and energetically, you see and visualize that moon as yourself, ready to be born, with that divine light standing directly behind you, embracing you, illuminating you, and invigorating you. And as you feel a connection to this beautiful white light behind the moon, behind yourself, you see the most beautiful colors shine from that ring around the moon. And you know that the temporary darkness of that which has faded away will bring forward a new energy, a new light, and a new moment to begin again. So as the moon continues to move across the sun, the illumination and the light begins to slowly come back. But something is new, something is different. The vibrance of the colors around you are even brighter than they were before. Yet, even within this bright light, you can physically see an energy raining down from the skies, raining down from the sun itself. Perhaps it shows up as a cloud or a color or a feeling. Perhaps it shows up as a mist that you can see and feel. The sun has returned, but something has changed. Something is different. Something has fallen away and cleared space for new energy that is around. This new energy, we can invoke it, we can feel into it, we can experience it. But within the vastness of the eclipse, with the widespread energy, it is almost impossible to fully predict and comprehend exactly what this solar eclipse that we are all experiencing will bring in completely and individually for all of us. So we play with the energies, we feel into the energies, we work with them, but we stand in waiting, hopefully somewhat patiently, for the full story and to experience the full human and spiritual experience of the energy that was birthed yesterday. Thank you, thank you, thank you, all of you, for being here. As always, I appreciate you. I hope that whether you were able to see the eclipse at all, whether you're able to see it partially, whether you're able to see it within totality, whatever it is, I hope that there is something magical for you within this eclipse. I think now that I have seen one, I think they are all going to be just that much more beautiful. So eclipses happen approximately every 6 months in pairs. The lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse, the new moon and the full moon. So, having the eclipse happen is not totally rare. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen a couple times a year. But to be able to see it, that's a different story. They happen in different areas of the world all the time. And to have it go all the way across the continental United States does not happen very, very often. So, I thank you all for being here. I hope you feel the love and the protection of the sun. I hope you feel supported within exploring Chiron within your own life and those wounds and how you can use those. The new beginnings, the seriousness behind Mars and Saturn, that drive, that motivation, that determination behind Aries. When you have, one thing about Aries is that sometimes it leaps first and then thinks second, or like it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission type of thing. With Mars and Saturn coming together behind that Aries energy, it feels like we have like the bravery and the nerve and like the oomph to go forward, but we also have that like strong structural foundation behind us. I guess that is, now I have that, now I have the thunder coming back into my head again. So it's that movement forward, that Aries energy, that like big rumble that comes almost out of nowhere, but there's like huge, like there's huge potential behind it. There's huge like power and energy and just like that like rumble that you feel with the thunder. So it's like, yeah, it's pretty cool now that I'm thinking about that. So that's what I have for tonight. Thank you, all of you, for being here as always. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you being here. Ready for the new things being ushered in. Good for you. That is, welcoming it in is a big part of it. You know, there's another side to the Mars-Saturn, that rigidness. It could be like the hesitance to go forward, too. But all in due time, ushering new things in, and just, I think the awe of like we have some sort of idea of like what's going on within our life, and we can see it playing out currently, right? But just standing within that awe and like that space of like, there's new things coming, and I'm just open to whatever comes whenever it comes, like within that time frame, whether it's like past, present, future. I'm just ready for it all whenever it does come, and within its own timing, and just being like fully open. So thank you, all of you. You can look for a new intention on Sunday. Facebook page, Instagram page, YouTube page, meditativeastrology.com. That's where you can find all things. If you haven't already, go on Facebook and find the event on the Meditative Astrology page that correlates with next week's in meditation. And then if you plan on coming, click going. You'll get a reminder from Facebook if you're on social media of like the day of that you have the live event going on to remind you. And it helps it helps other people find the event too, and find our space here. We've definitely had some people pop in and out from the Facebook event. So I've had people contact me from the Facebook event. So it helps, and I appreciate all of you for doing that. So if you haven't, you can go on there. All of the events are up for the month of April, so you can just hit going to all of those, and share with anybody else that you think might enjoy what we do here and entering this space with us. So have a good day, night, week, whatever it is for you, and I'll see you later. Reach out at any time.